Well guys, we're back at it. We went out and picked up another mower off the side of the road. And this one looks like it's been sitting for quite some time. And this is a pretty cheap Murray 4.5 22 inch. I'm going to guess this is the bargain basement of lawnmowers. But let's see if this thing will actually work and see what we need to do to make it work. Come along for the ride. I'm going to give this thing a couple of tugs on the old rope. See what happens here. Holy cow, this has a throttle. That's amazing. Whoa, certainly didn't expect that. It's not a mower, it's a fountain. Well, that's unexpected. Let's pull the plug and see how much water there is inside this cylinder. All right, let's pull the plug on this thing and see what we got. Plug was tight. Yeah, that's wet and nasty, to say the least. All right, we'll pull the rope a couple more times and see if we get a bunch of water out of there too, which we should. You know, why not? Good old-fashioned BADS. It's an interesting situation. How am I going to see it spark? There, maybe I can do that. Of course, as soon as I touch anything, it all goes to poo. You know, some days a spark checker would be a good idea. Well, we do have a spark, so that's one less battle to fight. This would be a totally wrong plug for this, so we'll need to find something a little closer. Well, I do have a spark plug. Certainly isn't the right one, but it'll probably make sparks in there. Check our air filter, see what we got in there. And it's about as nasty as one might think it would be. And more interestingly, we have what appears to be water sitting inside of here. Let me show you. Yep, there's water inside there. This is the intake into the carburetor over on this side. This is the air intake. I'm not so concerned about that. The good news is this part is pretty dry. Well, it's oily, but it's not wet with water. So we'll continue on our journey here. I think at the very least we need to drop the bowl on this thing, on this carburetor, and take a look at that. That's water. Yeah. I'd say we might as well just pull that carburetor off there and give her a quick spiff. Heck of a screw. Probably another one back here somewhere. I reckon that's it. Let's work this back up and off of here. That went pretty smooth. What we're trying to do is just grab those tabbies and pull back. Like that. Didn't seem like a totally unreasonable request to me. Get the Z-bend out of there. There we go. Now there's going to be some kind of governor too. I want to guess it's going to be a wind governor. We'll deal with that in a minute. We're going to take these two out right here and see if this thing will just fall off here, and we'll leave the elbow on there. Mostly because it looks way easier than dealing with screws and nuts. We can just deal with this instead of both. Give her a little wackadoo, and she wackadoos right off there. Yeah, we got all kinds of stuff happening here. We got a fuel line right back in here, which one might expect going to a carburetor and all. It's right here. Try to do all this without mowing my float off. Well, my clamp just broke in two. Kind of got to be nice to this plastic elbow. Make sure we don't completely destroy it. Or, you know, we could try getting the one off the fuel tank. I'll see if it wants to cooperate. Also a plastic spigot. Oh, look at that. That'll do. That will do. All right, now we got all kinds of linkage here to deal with. I think I'm just going to take this plate loose on the top. Of course, it's not the same size. I don't know which is sillier, them for building it with different size or me for thinking it was the same. After all, you're building something for the absolute lowest money you can to a super low price point. Use whatever you can get. You can save 1/4 cent on a screw. Well, you save 1/4 cent, or whatever it may be. This has another Z-bend linkage here. So we're going to work this down off here. Well, now it's hung up halfway around the corner. I'm thinking, let's see what we got back here. Oh, it's a hook. It's not a Z-bend at all. She's a hook like that. All right, there's our carburetor. Let's get to cleaning. There's our carburetor. Let's get to cleaning on this thing. Well, this thing is pretty crappy looking. Let's see how much of that comes off with some compressed air. Well, really, not a heck of a lot of it. All right, let's get this float pin out of here. It seems to be about the only thing we can do to this carb. There's a rubber gasket on here that for the bowl. It's kind of sitting on it. There we go. Kind of sitting on that edge. We'll peel that sweetness off there. And we'll punch out the pin. Grab it over here. And that'll set our float free. It's rather interesting. Not sure. It really isn't much of an adjustment to this thing at all. We can see where the water's been in there. Inside of there? Yep, sure can. Our float or our throttle plate is kind of sticky. We'll work it a little bit and get him going. There we go. Well, I don't see a whole lot to adjust in this thing, so we'll throw it in the parts washer and the ultrasonic cleaner, give it a bath, put it back together, and see exactly what's going to happen here. This thing doubles as a main jet, and you can see how cruddy it is. Gas comes in down here at the bottom through that little hole right there, and comes out the top and goes into here. So, yeah, not much to this carburetor. Not nearly enough to make it run right, that's for sure. Well, let's give it a bath. I'm sure I'm completely blocking your view here. Even though we run this thing through the ultrasonic cleaner, I still like to run carb cleaner through them just to make sure I've got all the little crud out of there. So we're going to run carb cleaner through some of these things. You see that darkness come out of there? That's why I do that. Sometimes the ultrasonic cleaner busts stuff loose, but it doesn't get it all the way out of it. So we're going to find what few passages there are on this carburetor and blow through them and do our best not to blast ourselves in the eyeballs with carb cleaner. Because I've done that before and it's not very nice. That's coming out much cleaner now. So I think we got most of that gook out of there. And I don't think this one actually goes anywhere. It's probably got a passage on the side in there for what should be the idle circuit. But it really doesn't seem to go anywhere. There's no adjustments or any of that. Now, I don't know why they quit using this mower. I don't really have any clue. All I know is I found it alongside the road and picked it up, and I like fixing them. All right, that's about as clean as this thing's gonna get. We're gonna go ahead and put this clamp back in place. So we'll slide that over there like that. There's only 6 million car videos on the internet about cleaning carburetors, but strangely, I get some satisfaction out of cleaning carburetors. I like doing it. I like taking stuff that doesn't work with the crud, because of crud, fixing it, making it go again. There's something very satisfying about it. I'm sure people that do other stuff besides mechanics and stuff, they like the same thing. Pretty sure this is still plugged up. Work again. Oh, look at that. That was some crud in there, all right. She's never going to run right with all that crud in there. Now let's give her another squirt of the good stuff. And by Jove, it works. I already disconnected my air hose because it leaks and it drives me nuts. So I'll just blow that out like that. I'm going to lower that float level just a little bit. You can see now that it's fairly level with this surface. Before it was up just a bit more. So we're going to lower it down just so it's fairly level with this. Horizontal? I don't know. Anyway, so it has the same distance on both the hinge side and this side. That's about the only adjustment we got on this sweetheart, and I assure you it is not going to run too rich. She's going to be a bit lean, if anything. Put our gasket back in place. Look around, we don't have any other stuff. This has the primer instructions, so we're going to put it towards the primer. Oddly enough. I'm going to turn that like that. We have our fiber washer on there. So we're going to set all this together and make it work. Which me, being metric-y and all, that's the same as an 11. You can see this says 136 on the bottom. That's a 136 main jet. I'd say that's probably tight enough. Let's put this sweetheart back on and see how much we can save on this thing. I think that one went in there. Then this whole rigmarole went up here like this. I need to put that on first because one of my screws will be underneath the shroud. And we haven't taken the shroud off yet. I'm kind of looking in there through the holes and I don't see any reason to take it off. There's not any buildup of junk in there. Usually we take it off and blow everything out, but there really isn't anything in there to blow out. Really not sure this mower had a lot of time on it. Screws. I don't want to call them bolts. Let's grab us some fake Honda Bond 4 and we'll use it to kind of help seal our gasket. Too bad I didn't do this ahead of time before I set it up here. but I'll do it now. We'll just give it a tickle all the way around, just a little. Just a little. The gasket's still on there, but I just want to make sure it seals up against that head. So this thing will run lean enough. We certainly don't need any vacuum leaks and stuff to aggravate or exacerbate the situation. I use my number 3 Phillips on those. This still has a really crappy O-ring in there, so we're just going to leave that in place. Try to make sure it stays there while we slide the rest of this in. Something doesn't seem quite right there. I've got to get the crankcase breather lined up. Like that. That's way better. I'll take that back. Those top ones are 5/16. These are quarters. See if we can get that to go into place back there. I think it did. This is definitely a throwaway product. What I mean by that, it's planned obsolescence. Might be a better term for it. But it's definitely something that's made to a price point. And this is going to get cleaned. I'm just slapping it in here so no big chunks fly up and go down the throat of that. All right, let's put some fuel in it. Look up our sparkulator and see if this thing will actually run. I'm putting premix fuel in this. Premix for the steel weed eater. That's a little less than half a tank. That ought to be enough to find out because the thing's going to actually do something. I'm going to move you a little bit because I remember water coming out of that exhaust earlier. So I'm going to come back here a bit. Put our cap on. Oh, rat turds. We forgot to hook up this. The blade brake clutch kill thingy-majigger. Safety. Safety, safety, safety. There we go. Whew. At least we didn't have to back up, huh? All right, gonna give her a few tugs. What's it say? 3 primes cold engine, wait 2 seconds between primes. 1, 2, 3. Didn't feel like it's doing a thing. No, don't think so. We'll get a little drink of that stuff because I don't have to crank as long that way. Here we go. Think it'll restart? Oh, we got a poof. Yeah, it's burning a lot of crud off. It hasn't ran in a while. So, do you think it'll restart? Let's find out. It will. This thing makes a lot of noise, but I'm hoping it's just the blade or something like that. Because I checked the oil in this thing before I started it. And it really isn't that bad. It was over full. Obviously, it's clear up the dipstick now. But, so with that said, let's dump the oil out of it and sharpen the blade. Always take the spark plug wire off before you do this. Before you get your hand underneath it, remove the spark plug wire. Our blade's tight. Man, thing's fairly clean under here. Well, I stirred up a lot of crap off the bottom. It was cleaner than that earlier. We'll just leave that sit there. Grab a bit longer handle here. Really, that's not super tight. And a plastic drain plug on the bottom. I start at the bottom and clean up the bottom edge. I'm not really taking material off this way, I'm just flattening it out this way. Then we'll turn it over and actually do the sharpening. We're just taking the burrs off the bottom of it. And here we go. Now I took quite a bit more off this blade because it had some pretty deep gouges in it. That's pretty good. If one side was a lot heavier, it would go like this or like this, but this one's balancing out pretty good. I'm not so worried about the side by side this way, but this way is what I'm looking at. And we're pretty stinking good. This side might be just a touch lighter, but I don't think it's going to matter. In fact, I know it's not going to matter. Let's put this sweetheart back on. All right, this goes up. The little flappy part here always goes up, away from you. You put it on backwards, it will not mow right. Put it on backwards on a Honda HRT 14, it'll lock the motor up. I've had more than one customer bring his Honda lawnmower in, swearing it had a bad engine, and all they did was put the blade on upside down, and it really does lock them up. Their blades have a little raised edge on it. If you put it on backwards, it goes into the blade brake clutch bearing and locks it up. This is a springy washer, so make sure it's on the right way as well. And we're going to crank this till about where it was, or till I feel really good about it. One of the two. There we go. Click. Yeah, like that. We're gonna put our oil cap back on and flip this baby back over. All right, we're gonna put the oil back in this sweetheart. Dipstick says to put straight 30 weight in it. So we're gonna put 1030 in it. All right, looks like we're about right there. So just a touch above the fill line. It says do not put above the fill line, but we're just gonna leave it there. Contact. Wonder if the throttle works. I never even tried it. You know, this thing can't be that new. It's got a throttle on a basic mower. They just don't put throttles on them anymore. Now, I'll take this in the house and use some dish soap on it and then let it dry, but I just couldn't stand to look at that junk on the top of it anymore. All right, that's a wrap. I want to thank you all for watching. Make sure you subscribe. We got lots of other projects coming up, mower projects. I think I'm going to move the motorcycle stuff over to a new channel called McGuire's Motorcycles and leave Raymore Repair for all the power equipment stuff. Let me know what you think about that down in the comment section. I'd appreciate your input. Thanks for watching.